My name is Lily. I'm 27. I live in a small coastal town in Maine. I work as a barista at the Harbor Cafe. The mornings are cold. The sea smells of salt and pine. I wake early. I walk the beach before my shift. The waves help me think. 3 months ago, my grandmother passed away. She raised me after my parents died in a car crash when I was 6. Her little blue house by the cliffs is now mine. I moved in right away. Her things are still everywhere. Her knitted blankets, her old recipes, her letters tied with ribbon. I can't bring myself to move them. I miss her voice. She used to say, "Lily, the sea takes, but it also gives back." I didn't understand then. Now I do. Grief takes pieces of you, slowly, quietly. One foggy morning, I found a bottle on the shore. Green glass, cork still tight. Inside was a rolled-up note. The paper was thick. The ink faded but readable. It said, "To whoever finds this, I lost my wife last winter. Her name was Clara. We came here every summer for 40 years. This beach was ours. I scattered her ashes here last month. If you read this, please sit for a moment. Look at the water. Tell her the sea is still beautiful. Thank you." Thomas, August 2025. My hands shook. I looked around. No one else on the beach, just me and the fog and the waves. I sat on a rock. I stared at the gray water. I whispered, "Clara, the sea is still beautiful." My voice cracked. Tears came suddenly, not just for Clara, for my grandmother, for the emptiness in the blue house. I kept the note. I put it in her old cookie tin with her recipes. Days passed. I walked the same beach every morning. I started looking for more bottles. I didn't find any, but I kept looking. Then, one Saturday, I saw him. An older man in a wool coat, gray hair, standing where I found the bottle, throwing something small into the waves. He turned, saw me watching, didn't smile, just nodded and walked away. I waited until he was gone. I went to the spot. There was a single white rose lying on the wet sand. The tide hadn't taken it yet. I picked it up. The petals were cold. The next morning, he was there again. Same place, same time. This time, he didn't throw anything. He just stood, hands in pockets, looking out. I walked closer. "Are you Thomas?" I asked. He turned. His eyes were pale blue, tired, kind. "Yes," he said softly. "I found your note." He nodded slowly. "Thank you for reading it." We stood in silence. The waves crashed gently. "I lost someone too," I said. "My grandmother, 3 months ago." He looked at me then, really looked. "I'm sorry." We started meeting there most mornings. Not planned, just happened. We didn't talk much at first, just stood side by side, watching the horizon. One day he brought 2 paper cups of coffee, handed me one. "It's cold out here," he said. We sat on the big driftwood log. He told me about Clara, how they met in college, how she loved blueberry muffins, how she danced in the kitchen to old jazz records. I told him about my grandmother, how she taught me to knit, how she made chowder that tasted like home, how she kept seashells in jars labeled by year. He listened. I listened. Winter came early. The beach grew quieter, fewer tourists, just locals and gulls. One morning, snow started falling, light flakes on the water. Thomas wasn't there. I waited an hour. He didn't come. I worried. I didn't have his number. I didn't even know where he lived. The next day, still no Thomas. On the third day, I walked to the post office, asked if anyone knew a Thomas who lost his wife. The clerk did. "Mr. Hale," she said, "lives in the gray cottage past the lighthouse. Been keeping to himself since Clara passed." I walked there, knocked on the door. No answer. I left a small jar of my grandmother's blueberry jam on the step, with a note. "Thinking of you, Lily from the beach." 2 days later, he was back on the beach. Thinner, eyes red. "I was sick," he said. "Flu. Didn't want to worry anyone." I handed him a thermos of soup, my grandmother's recipe. He smiled for the first time, small but real. Spring arrived slowly. The snow melted, green returned to the cliffs. We still meet most mornings. We talk more now, about books, about gardens, about the way light hits the water at dawn. Last week he brought a small wooden box. Inside were seashells, each labeled in Clara's handwriting. Years from 1980 to 2024. "I want you to have them," he said. "Clara would like knowing they're with someone who listens to the sea." I cried, not sad tears, grateful ones. Yesterday, I brought my grandmother's old knitting needles, showed him how to cast on. His hands shook at first, then steadied. We sat on our log, knitting, watching waves. Two people who lost the centers of their worlds, slowly finding new ones. The sea takes, but sometimes it gives back. Thank you for watching.